Alpen Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Hi, I welcome you here for this online class which is organized by Principal Forums and the Prudent Media. So I am Datta Parab from Sri Shantarga High Secondary School, Pirna. Here due to these pandemics, now not possible to conduct classroom teachings here. So through these online classes, we are trying to complete our portion. So I am today here with you to present my online class on this book that is set with the politics in India since independence. So I am discussing here with chapter 4, India's external relations. We know that India got independence on 15th August 1947. But we have got a strongest blow at the time of India's independence. India been divided into two, India and Pakistan. On a religious line, India has been divided in this India and Pakistan. So Pakistan has celebrated its independence on 14th August 1947. Actually, it's a religious crisis which we have been there. Due to that, and till today, we are facing the same problem. It is that Britishers, at the time of handing power, they have transferred that power to our Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. So he becomes the Prime Minister of India. It is that elections have not been there just because of that provincial elections of 1946. Congress party got absolute majority and their leader now been selected to hand over the power by the British government. We know that it's Lord Mountbatten plan to divide India. What he has done, it is that he has put three options with the Indian princely state, because straight away partition was been there of British Indian territories in India and Pakistan. But we find that the princely states were there, so many princely states were there. They has given options either to join India or to join Pakistan. And if they are not ready to join this anyone, they has given an option by this Mountbatten, they can live an independent state. Now we find that this is what a conspiracy to divide India into smaller and smaller states. So many smaller states might be there. Now we know that its credit goes to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So we find it is Congress. It has thought about that is united India, not of divided. So we find that it's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. It is that convinced different leaders of that princely states, and large number of these princely states, they have joined, that is said to the India's federation. So we find that it is on the 15th August 1947 when we are celebrating independence. There are so many places where they doesn't know in which state they are there, either in India or in Pakistan. That is one issue. Where we find that boundary issues have not settled. That what a conflict going on among these people has been there. So what we find that it is so many people were suffering because of that transfer of population at that time. So many people killed, raped, and so many that wrong things has happened. And till today, we are seeing that people are taking here that the revenges of that event till today, that was also going on there. So with the creation of Pakistan, that's a division of India. And we know that if we just go back, it is on 16th August 1946, when Direct Action Day, which was declared by Muhammad Jinnah on behalf of All India Muslim League, we say it's hearts of Hindus and Muslims divided because of the ruthless suppression of opposite religious groups. So Muslims started killing Hindus, Hindus started killing Muslims, and this spread everywhere. And that's the reason Congress has accepted that partition. So when transfer of power was made, Jawaharlal Nehru, now he is the Congress leader, we went that he gets the responsibility as a Prime Minister to continue with that administration of India. India got its constitution. It is 26 November 1949. India signed its preamble and entire constitution was been given up to the public on 26 January 1950. So first election has been conducted in India in year 1951, but we considered it as the election of 1952. The reason behind it there, that election started in October 1951 and it continues till February 1952. So large areas, constituencies, election has been conducted in 1952. That's the reason it is called as the election of 1952. After that second election 1957, third election 1962. All this election, we know that Congress has got absolute majority. 1952, that's 489, 1957, 494, and 1962, 494. So what? We went that it is that first election, Communist Party has only 16 seats as an opposition party. So we went that it's Congress, which is holder of a power and responsibility to run the administration. So now we are discussing here with that the main topic for us. It is set with the chapter 4, India's external relations. Now what type of relations India has with its neighbor and other states in India? As we got independence, three main challenges which were there in front of the Indian government. First, to keep India united, where we have seen starting itself we have divided, but further divisions not expected, or there doesn't want that division there. So first, we have to keep India intact, united. Second one, to establish a democracy, because we have so many years. We have experienced, it is only the monarchy, kingship. It's a dictatorship of one man, one family like that. After that, we have faced imperialism and colonialism, foreign rule over us. But now, we find that it is now to establish a democracy where everyone will get, that is said to the freedom to govern, freedom to rule, and that what are very important democratic rights. And third one is economic development, because till 19, that is said to here, 1600, we can say 1600, India is considered as the richest country of the world. But when British has arrived in India, and after that, we suffered economically. We have suffered a lot. This economic problem has been created because of the drain of wealth carried by the British. Because foreign rulers, others, Muslim and others, they have arrived in India and settled in India, used the money of India only for Indian land, Indian peoples. But British, they have carried wealth from India to Great Britain, used that wealth for development of their economy, not Indian economy. So we have seen, it is rightly been highlighted by one of our national leader, Dadabhai Naoroji, with his book, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, that the different way British has carried wealth of India. They have carried the wealth of India in the form of salary, donation, gift, then trade exchanges, all this way they have carried that wealth. So here we find that Indian has faced a problem. So especially with that boundary issues, first time, or first place, we see boundary issues. Because we have a problem with Pakistan, problems of a boundary with China, Nepal, Bangladesh. So we find that it's international disputes over these boundaries. And another major task before the Indian government was there, uplift the standard of living of the people. Just to overcome the poverty, people are facing financial problems here. Really, large number of the people, they are poor people. Now there is need to uplift these people. So economic development is a very important one. Now India, we have seen that it is set with a bond on the background of that is a Cold War situation. So USA and USSR blocks have been there. USA the capitalist bloc and USSR communist bloc. And so both these blocks, we find that they are against each other. Their supporters are fighting against each other. And now India has emerged here as the free nation. So we find that Indian Prime Minister has put forward the idea of neutrality. So it is a policy of non-alignment, and this idea of Jawaharlal Nehru accepted by the leaders of Yugoslavia, Egypt, Ghana and Indonesia. So we find that it is said to be the birth of non-aligned movement. A third organization has been there at international level. So where we have seen that now, when we are looking to that, the foreign policies and foreign relations, the role of a foreign minister is important one, the role of prime minister is important one. So here we find that that is Nehru's role as a prime minister of India. So first important thing what he has to do, it is said, to preserve the hard-earned sovereignty. Sovereignty here means independent decision-taking power. So we find that internal sovereignty, that means no other organization in India superior to the Indian government. Everyone has to accept Indian government decision. And then when we say the external sovereignty, that no foreign powers are able to dominate over India, India is free to take its own decision. That what a very important point has been there. So we find that it's India has to preserve that hard-earned sovereignty. So no chance be given to any other country to conquer India or give a chance to dominate over India. Second one, we say it's a protect territorial integrity. Now we find that there is a problem of boundary disputes has been there. But we find that it's now Indian government wanted to keep India intact. Because we know that Pakistan is creating problem from Bangladesh and as well as we can say from northwestern side, from Jammu and Kashmir. They wanted to capture that area. They wanted to join that Jammu and Kashmir to Pakistan. So they are creating problem from that side. And we find that it is said to be they are also trying to have division among the Indians. In Punjab, we find that it's Khalistanwadi movement has been started there. Some people from the Sikh community, they want a separate Sikh state for themselves like that. It is their demand, Khalistan. Then we have seen the issue of Manipur, issue of Nagaland, Mizoram. So they wanted to go away from India. Now it's a task of the Indian government to keep all this together. So what we wanted, its objective of this Nehru's foreign policy was to keep territorial integrity. And third one, promote a rapid economic development. So we have seen for so many years, India suffered financially, economically suffered because of the colonial rule. India suffered a lot. Now it's very important we see the aim of the government to uplift economically. So industrialization, that is what they demand. Where we went at is Mahatma Gandhi at that time, he had supported small scale industries and a cottage industry to be supported by the Indian government. That was his demand. But Jawaharlal Nehru said that we'll go with that, but at the same time, we'll go for mega industries, high-tech industry, that is essential one, because we have to compete with the European state. Otherwise, these people will create a problem for us. So now, he says that we have to go simultaneously for economic development has been there. So this is what the points as we have seen there. Now, when we are looking to these things, it is that another important step taken by, that is said to be Jawaharlal Nehru, in bringing the countries of, that is said to be the Asia and Africa together. So important events during Nehru's prime ministership, Nehru's leadership, India has convened Asian Relation Conference in March 1947. Now see that, India got its independence on 15th August 1947. Before that, we went at India's convened Asian Relations Conference. So prior to India's independence, Jawaharlal Nehru was very active on behalf of the Congress for creating awareness among the states of this, that is said to the Asian continent. Then India has made an earnest efforts for the early realization of freedom of Indonesia from the Dutch colonial regime by convening an international conference in 1949 to support its freedom struggle. So you can just see here, this is that Indonesia, the map. If we just look to that, this is the area where we find that totally from all sides it is surrendered by water. One of the poorest countries, and they are dominated by the Dutch. Now we find that India has taken up the issue of that state. So international level, India is now working there. So here another step taken up by India. It is said, India was a staunch supporter of decolonization process and firmly opposed racism, especially apartheid in South Africa. So apartheid policy which we find it been there with this South Africa. Now this is South Africa, like India, they are ruled by the British. And in 1945, United Nations decided to go away with the trusteeship, and so they have put a pressure, especially America, USSR, that the foreign countries or which are dominating other countries, they have to grant freedom to them. Because of that, British decided to leave Africa. But what this British have done, they have not handed a power to the local people of Africa, but they have handed a power to the white minorities who have settled in that area, the Europeans who have ruled there. They have occupied a property and they have lived there. Now they have made a ruler, and these rulers, they consider the local people inferior. Inhumanitarian treatment has been given to those peoples. Now we find that here the movement has been started for that. It is that Mahatma Gandhi has started his non-violence movement, Satyagraha he has tried in South Africa. It is to oppose that is a apartheid policy. So it is South Africa that was been there, so India is involved in that. Now we talk about another issue of this, that is Afro-Asian Conference held in the Indian city of Bandung in 1955, so commonly known as the Bandung Conference. Now you have to remember this. Many times the questions has been asked on this objective. So Afro-Asian Conference was held in Indonesia, where we say it is a place called as Bandung in 1955. So it is popularly been called as Bandung. So you can see here, red, that highlighted point here, it's a Bandung, where that conference has been there, and they have talked about uniting the states of, that is Africa and Asia there. Now here we talk about that they have decided to form non-aligned movement. Now this is the neutral alliance which has been there, and so we find that it's in Belgrade. In September 1961, Nehru was a co-founder of that NAM. So in September 1961, the first high-level leaders of non-aligned movement, they have held a meeting and they were successful in forming this NAM. So this NAM is an organization, as we can see that, where they are keeping themselves away from USA bloc and USSR, that is the capitalist bloc and the communist bloc. Separately they are trying to have themselves. So what we find that here, this non-aligned movement, where large number of Asian and African states have joined. So what we find that, where we have talked about the 113, more than 100 states were in support of this NAM. And just we can say 60 to 65 states were there in support of US and USSR. So there was a strong, we say, the support for this NAM. Even in the UNO, their demands, whatever they put a pressure, that they are getting successful there because of this reason. So we have talked about that. It is set with the NAM. So here we can say it is the Belgrade. You can see that on the top, that Belgrade which has been there. So in Serbia, this step of uniting all nations has been there, and they have formed NAM, the non-aligned movement there. Then we are moving to, that is said to be here, the entire points which we have discussed here. So Nehru's leadership, India has convened Asian Relations Conference in March 1947. India made earnest efforts for the early realization of freedom of Indonesia from the Dutch colonial regime. Then India was a staunch supporter of decolonization process and opposed racism, that is called as the apartheid system in South Africa. Then Afro-Asian Conference was held in the Indonesian city of Bandung in 1955, commonly known as Bandung Conference. That were the points as we have seen. Now here we say this is that African continent. So many states from this Africa, and then the Asian continent. They are the members of these. So many countries of these two continents, actually they are the poor countries. They need the help of some richest country, but still then they have decided not to join to the side of socialist state or to the side of the capitalist state has been there. Now here we are coming up to the most important topic here with this, peace and a conflict with China. here we went at this topic. Mostly 4-mark question can be asked, or it may be the 3-mark. So very important topic here from examination point of view. So peace and a conflict with China. So India, we went at here, actually supported the Chinese government in the initial period. So when we are looking to the China's, that set with the growth of that, actually there was a monarchy. It is overthrown by a democratic movement. Chiang Kai-shek became the first elected prime minister of China. And this government was supported by America. Now it is a strong blow for what we can say for USSR, because China is the neighboring state of USSR and America now dominate the government of China. So USSR played a game of spreading its ideology in China, and it is under the leadership of Mao Zedong, the Communist Party of China captured power through revolution. It is called as Revolution of 1949. So Revolution of 1949, China, here we went at, brought a communist government there. Now this government was not accepted by USC, but in the United Nations, India supported wholeheartedly to the side of China, and because of that, we went at China got a representation there, representation in the UNO. Now this China, we know that it is also got the position of a 5 permanent member who have a nuclear weapon. So that is USA, UK, Great Britain, France, and then China. Now when these steps had been taken up by India, some leaders like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, they were dissatisfied with the policies of that is said to be Jawaharlal Nehru for that time, because they are of the opinion that this China, whom we are relying totally, may create a problem anytime. But we find that our Indian government, Jawaharlal Nehru, has not that much we find it worried about that. For so many years we can say, for a long time the Chinese border was guarded by paramilitary forces, not the military. Now here we just see that how much lightly we have taken up. We are actually to be worried about China, but we are worried about Pakistan. We don't have to worry about Pakistan, because when division of India was made, only 1/3 part that has been given to Pakistan, and 3/4 part that is there with India. So of military, finance, everything. So we are heavily dominating here over Pakistan, but we have neglected China. Now this is the reason because of which we find that there was certain tensions. But even though we find that there is a joint enunciation of Panchashil, the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, by the Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and the Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai on 29th April 1954. It was a step in the direction of stronger relationship between the two countries. So Panchashil, we talk about that. It is the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. So what we find that a good relation has been developed. Bilateral talks has been there between that. So very important point with this Panchashil is that anything might be happen in both this country, other country will not interfere in that, or other country won't talk against it. So they have to respect one another's sovereignty. That was the main clause of that Panchashil agreement. So on the basis we have seen Indian and the Chinese leader visited each other's country and were it is greeted by the large and the friendly crowds, as we have seen that Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai, a famous slogan where we find that it's Indian and the Chinese, they are the brothers. So brotherhood spirit tried to be developed there. But we find that now all these things has been going on there, relations. But at the same time, we find that this man, the Chinese premier, returned back to China, and within a short period, we have an attack from this China to the areas of this. We can say here, this is the Arunachal Pradesh, yellow dot, as we can say that, or that area, Arunachal Pradesh. This is, it's their area. Actually, it's a part of India. Then we can say here, Aksai Chin. Now, this is the region dotted there. Actually, it is set with a line of control here, but this is what we find that our claim has been there. So, Aksai Chin area, this is that area you can find here. it is China has handed over, China got it from Pakistan. So that we find that here, these areas which are been there under the control of China. So what we find that here, it is that points as we are discussing with it, the Chinese invasions of 1962, that point focusing on that map. So long disputes between India and China was about the western and the eastern end of the long border. So western we have seen Aksai Chin area, and then we have seen with that is Arunachal Pradesh area. So what we find that the border issue has not settled. China always considered that they have not settled border issue with India, because whatever border issue has been there and what we say that it is settled, it is during the time of the British rule. So as we call that the line of control which has been there, they are not accepting it. So that here conflict has been. So what we find that Chinese claimed here two areas within the Indian territory. So they are part of India. Aksai Chin area in the Ladakh region of Jammu and Kashmir, and much of the states of Arunachal Pradesh in what was then called as NIFA, Northeastern Frontier Agency. So there are the ice over that areas there. Then we find that it's between 1957 and 1959. Chinese, they have occupied Aksai Chin area and built a strategic road there. Now very important things here we have to remember. Now China is creating problem for India. It is that Aksai Chin region, Siachen Glacier, and then connection to that it with the handing over the area of India which was there with the Pakistan forcefully captured there. Now they have handed over to the China, and China is building a road from there connecting to the that set from that Arab world to the Europe like that. So that was a point which has been there. So China launched here, we find that sudden thing has been happening here. China launched a swift and a massive invasions in October 1962 on both the disputed regions. So they captured the key areas in Arunachal Pradesh. Now this is what we find that happening there, where India was in a relaxed position, not concentrated there of defending state. China has taken up the chance of that and suddenly has made attack from both the side. Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh has been there. Now here we see that political map. So disputed borders and the territories between India, China and Pakistan. So here that what once again you can see yellowed area which has been there. In a circle you find that it is Aksai Chin area. So that what the things we find that under the control of China, Aksai Chin, and the other one that is set with there with the Arunachal Pradesh. So here, now we can see very seriously that the issues which are going on here. We just see here, Aksai Chin, it is there with China. This is that area ceded to China from Pakistan, and this is the Siachen glaciers. That we find it here, this area, now we find that straight away, route has been made through Pakistan to this Arab world. So that was a very important point. So you have to remember about that. This China and Pakistan, they have joined together. So here we find that it's Aksai Chin area, Siachen glaciers side by two, that what we have talked about the area ceded to China from Pakistan. That is, road has been built up. It's a trade route for connecting the Arab world. And that's the way China, we went at here, tried to dominate over India. Now when we are looking to all these things, it is the conflict which was going on. Now all this which are been there, is that what a same one, we find that it is explained in a clear area. So this is what the line you can see here. This is the line. If you just see that this is the dotted line, this is actual the boundary of India. But what Pakistan has done, Pakistan has occupied this area. This is what we call as POK, Pak Occupied Kashmir, or Pak Administered Kashmir here. This is, we went at actually the boundary, and now we are controlling this. This is the line of control. This is the line of control now. India is now facing here, we went at. So this is the area occupied by China, and this is by Pakistan. So we are facing here the problem from China and Pakistan to this border. So this is one again we find that a same map highlighting that areas where that clash has been there between India and China. Now here we are discussing with effects of Chinese invasions of India. Now this China, we find that invaded over India with the intention, it is said, to occupy the territories which they thought that it's belonging to them. And so this is that period where we find that we are very much relied on USSR, because it is said America and Pakistan, they are close connection. America and Pakistan, there is a close connection. Now Pakistan has established a connection with China. And China has made an attack over India. Now India has hope from USSR, because India has signed that is said with a 20 years peace agreement with USSR to defend themselves from, that is said, this attack of USA and Pakistan. It is in a later period. So when we wondered actually this attack has been made by China, USSR decided to remain neutral. Now this is the time, no other option with the Indian government than to approach the American and the British for military assistance. Now we wondered, this is actually the insulting stage for India, because we know that America always looking, that's said to be, or hating India. America always hating India for two major issues. They are always having a crisis with India. One is the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, so they are always supporting Pakistan. And another one, it is said to be the issue of Goa. When Indian government decided to conquer Goa by the use of military, Salazar, the ruler of Portugal, he approached the American president and asked him to protect Goa. So because of that, American president asked Indian Prime Minister to stop the military invasion. But we find that it is continued and Goa is conquered. So American president thought that India is not supporting them, and there is a rivalry between India and America. But we find that it is this time India has approached America to protect themselves. So America and the British for military assistance. Soviet Union, as we have seen, they remain neutral during this crisis there. It induces a sense of national humiliation. We can say it's a national humiliation. And we went at the same time, we can say strengthen a spirit of nationalism. So what has happened? We are being cheated by China and then also by USSR. We come to know that because USSR decided to be a neutral. The main reason, India is a close friend of USSR. At the same time, that is said China, the Communist Party it is there, it is supported by the Communist Party of Russia only. So USSR supported for that Mao Tse-tung. So both are the friends, so they decided to remain neutral. But a chance has been taken up by China because we need help. China is very strong. We cannot win the battle against China because at that time we were not prepared. Now we are prepared. At this stage, we can say we can protect ourselves, but at that time we can't protect. So we wanted a sense of national humiliation, and at the same time we can see strengthen the spirit of nationalism among the Indians. Some of the top army commanders either resigned or were retired. Now we know that. Why this has happened? Because we know that foreign policy might be decided by the politician. Political leaders, they take a decision, but it's a responsibility of military officers to know what is going on in the opposition side. Very active and clear for that. They have to plan for that, know the secrets of the opponent, how to tackle if situation arises, because any time there may be a opposition or we say attack over one another. So they have to be remain alert and active. So that's why we find here that Indian military were not that much active. So many of them were forcefully resigned or retired. So we find that this is what been happen. Then other points as we are looking to this, it is said to be the Nehru's close associate and then Defense Minister V. Krishna Menon had to leave the cabinet. Now we have to remember this. The role of this V. Krishna Menon in liberation of Goa. So we have been freed from the control of Portuguese by this Defense Minister V. Krishna Menon. So we find that this man, a very close friend of Jawaharlal Nehru, and he has been forced to leave that because he failed to tackle the attack of this China. So we find that he has been forced to leave the cabinet there. For the first time, a no confidence motion against Nehru's government was moved and debated in the Lok Sabha. Now we find that for so many years, Jawaharlal Nehru remained to be a Prime Minister of India. Till that, we can say, he's been their President of India. He has a high respect in the international politics, international platform. As a leader of a democratic country, the biggest democratic country, an absolute majority is getting for 3 general election also. So, we find that he get the strongest blow because now politicians, or we can say the members of parliament, they say that they don't have the faith on that. So it is the strongest blow for the prestige of Jawaharlal Nehru. A no confidence motion has moved in Lok Sabha, though it is not successful, but we find that for the first time criticism has been there to this Jawaharlal Nehru. Then the Congress, we find that have faced a problem of this Indo-China war. So the Congress lost some key by-elections to Lok Sabha as an anger and a hatred towards the Congress because they have not considered very seriously the issue of China or defense. They have neglected. So we find that people has opposed the Congress because of this reason. Now due to this, Indian government has to think a very different way to the eastern states of India. Many times they have been neglected there. That is Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Mizoram, Sikkim, all these states which have been there. So now we find that Indian government has decided to take certain steps so that these states may remain there with India or they will cooperate with the Indian government. Actually, these states are the hilly region. So development was neglected in that area. Now government of India started developing that area. The reason we went at Arunachal Pradesh, some people are there, they are supporting China like that. Because of what? Indian government neglected development in that area and China started development in that area. Now Indian government becomes alert and recent year we know that it's from the time of Manmohan Singh and now we see Narendra Modi time. As a Prime Minister, these people now look to that issues very seriously. And so we find that it is in that Nagaland was granted a statehood. Manipur and Tripura, though the union territories, they were given the right to elect their own legislative assembly. So steps have been taken up to these states. So it is that northeastern states of India. They are very popularly been known as 7 sister states has been there. So Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, then Mizoram, Tripura. So these are what very important one. Now when we are looking to this, when we are talking about our foreign policy, we find that here we talk about that area. So this is what 7 sisters which are been there, that states, and that we find that it's a chicken neck. Now it's a small belt of somewhere 750 kilometers. In between, that's a Nepal and Bangladesh. 700 kilometers distance has been there. So it is called as a chicken snake. So we find that here Indian government has to take a step just to protect this eastern state. If we lost this chicken neck, that area, we can lost all these things then. So it is very seriously, Indian government has to think about that. So this is what the points have been there. Now we are looking for that the Chinese war, what we say Sino-Indian conflict affected opposition as well. Now whatever we have seen, it is the politics which is going on there. Its impact is there on the opposition party of India. So we have seen first general election. First opposition party was there, it's the Communist Party of India. They have just 16 seats, but it is emerging as an opposition party. But we wanted that party has suffered a lot at the time of India-China conflict. So what is happening with this? The China war and the growing rift between China and the Soviet Union created differences within the Communist Party of India, CPI. Now this Communist Party of India, there are two wings are there, one pro-China and one pro-Russia. So here we went that it is the pro-USSR faction. They remained within the CPI and moved closer ties with the Congress. So they joined hand with Congress. Whatever the policy of the Congress has been there, because we know that this Communist Party of Russia is a friendly with Congress. So they that is a Congress has been there, or pro-USSR, they remain with the Congress. Then we find that it is that other faction of this Communist Party, which is closer to China, so pro-China, which we talk about there, they were against Indian National Congress, or they were trying to have division, or try to remain themselves separate from the Congress, trying to oppose the Congress. So they are opponent. Within a CPI, two wings are there, CPI and CPM. So the pro-China group which has been there, they call themselves as CPI-M, Communist Party of India, that is a Marxist. So they are following the idea of, that is Mao Tse-tung or the Communist Party of China. They influence the decisions of that. So the party splits in 1964 and the leaders of the latter faction formed the Communist Party of India, and we find that this group now against India like that, or they are against a Congress. So many of them, when this war was going on between India and China, many of them have been arrested, and we find that they have been kept under bar. So we find that a conflict has been there within CPI. So opposition party here found to be divided there. Now here we are looking to the other issues. So China, as I have said, from examination point of view, that can be asked for 4-mark question, even 3-mark, 2-mark or objective question also. But most important, 4-mark question can be there over that consequences of China's India-China war has been there.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.
अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस। अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस। अब आपकी सुरक्षा आपके हाथों में। ल्यूपी सेफ हैंड सैनिटाइजर, आपका और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस।